You may find this rather shocking, but after Jesus' second coming, the Millennial Kingdom will be associated with honoring the Saturday Sabbaths as well as all the appointed Jewish feasts. And I have to ask the question, does our handling of the Sabbath in the modern church age hinder us from our understanding of eschatology? Also, I point you back to what Jesus did during his first coming. Did he not honor the Saturday Sabbath? So, did Jesus really resurrect on Sunday? Or is this just another one of the many deceptions of our modern church age? And how does this relate to the requirements of the Sabbath? Many believe Jesus' death on the cross freed us from the requirements of the Sabbath regulation. Yet nowhere in Scriptures does it tell us not to honor the Sabbath. But in Colossians 2:16 it says, don't judge according to one's participation in the Sabbath activities in regards to what she or he eats and drinks. Now Isaiah 56:1-2 discusses an important time in church history near the end of the age when Christ is about to return, and how important it is that the Sabbath be honored at that time. It says, quote, maintain justice and do what is right, for my salvation is close at hand, and my righteousness will soon be revealed. Blessed is the man who does this, the man who holds it fast and who keeps the Sabbath without desecrating it. Now later on in chapter 56, in verse 6 and 7, it says, all who keep the Sabbath without desecrating it and who hold fast to my covenant, these I will bring to my holy mountain and give them joy in my house of prayer. Now this is a direct reference to the Millennial Kingdom temple being called the house of prayer. Now I'd like to go into a discussion on the day of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection to see if that clears up some of the deception today in regards to the requirement of the Sabbath. There is absolute clarity in the timing of the resurrection in regards to the day of the crucifixion. It was definitely the third day. I'll read you one of multiple Bible verses that correlate with this, one being found in Luke, the 24th chapter, 7th verse. It says, the Son of Man must be delivered into the sinful hands of sinful men to be crucified, and on the third day be raised again. Now, Jesus' death and resurrection had to occur on specific days of the week in order to fulfill the Jewish feasts or festivals. One must remember the high Sabbath of Passover occurred on different days of the week each year because of its timing being based on the lunar calendar. Jesus came to fulfill the law and prophets and not to abolish them. Now when we look at the first fruits, they were always offered on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock after the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover ceremonies had been completed. The barley had to be ripe starting on the 1st of Nisan in order for the festivities to start taking place. And what would happen if the barley was indeed ripe, they were tied together in a cluster, and after the Feast of Unleavened Bread and Passover ceremonies were completed, that following Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, the cluster was cut off and presented to the high priest, who would always accept the offering because it was analogous to Jesus Christ, the first fruit offering that was given to God for the sins of mankind. The high priest was analogous to God. The day was Sunday, Nisan 18th. Now some may argue that as Christ was buried on the end of Nisan 14 before sunset, that this would count as day 1 of his burial, followed by day 2 on Nisan 15, and then day 3 would be the day of his resurrection on the 16th of Nisan instead of the 17th. But when one looks at the balance of Scripture, it says that there needs to be 3 days and 3 nights that he has to be in the earth. And this would not correspond with Scripture if day 3 was labeled Nisan 16th, as you would be missing an evening of burial. And the Bible clearly says on the 3rd day, and the 3rd day from Nisan 14th is clearly the 17th. So this theory would be in error. Clearly, Christ had to not only rise again on the 3rd day, but it also had to involve parts of 3 days and 3 nights. And we do not see evidence of a 3rd night before resurrecting again if he indeed died on a Friday, because this would necessitate that he would not rise until a Monday morning.